So today I'm going to go over an arm balance, crow pose. So this is considered a lot of the time a beginner arm balance, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's an easy pose and that you're just starting yoga. It doesn't mean that you should necessarily be able to do the posture right away. So it does take a lot of practice and strength and some flexibility in the wrist. So I'm just going to briefly kind of go over the posture and some basic technique into getting in and staying there. So before you start, you want to warm the wrists up. Because like I said, we do need some flexibility in the wrists and strength. So it's going to be bearing a lot of weight on the wrists here. You want to warm the arms up. We're going to be using the arms. Okay, and then start to also warm up the abdominal space and think about that area in the pose. So I think a lot of times when I see people, or I know when I started this posture, I wasn't really understanding to use the core space. So I was just relying on my arms, and it made it a lot harder because then we're not asking the rest of the body to help us, and we're just letting the wrists and arms and hands take on all that weight, which isn't going to last in the long run. We're not going to be able to progress in the pose. So fire up your abdominal space so that these muscles are warmed up and they're ready to help you, so that they're more likely to engage when we come into the posture. So wrists, arms, belly, just a little warm up. And then we'll start. So we're going to start on all fours. And we're just going to move through just 2 cat and cows. So inhale, chest forward, tail lifts. Exhale, tuck tail round, rib cage drops in. Feel the belly working to help bring you into that cat spine. Inhale, forward. Exhale, round. Muscles help expel breath out. Feel the belly squeeze. Inhale, come to neutral. Pause. And then find like a half cat back. So don't come into full cat spine as much as you can, but take it about halfway. And then really squeeze and engage in the belly. So all these muscles in the abdomen are working, navel's drawing in and back and up. Okay, and then pause, come down. So that's just kind of the shape, right? We're just making a little bit of the shape that we're gonna find in the pose. A little bit of weight on the wrists, and you want to find a little bit of cat spine in the posture so the back isn't staying straight. So a little bit of cat spine is going to incorporate those muscles of the abdomen to help you in the pose. And then we'll get started. So you could just come from hands and knees. You can enter this from squat, which is a common transition, or walk the feet forward, around the balls of the feet. Hands are going to come shoulder width or wider than the shoulders, maybe slightly, but at least shoulder width. Grip the mat with the fingertips. Press the base of the knuckles and the heels of the hands into the mat. So a little bit of weight is already in my hands here. Start to make the shape like that half cat back. Squeeze the belly, lift the hips. We're going to direct the knees as high up toward the armpits as we can get them. So you're going to bend the elbows to help facilitate that. Press the kneecaps high up to the armpits as you can. They're going to press into the backs of the arms. Squeeze, use the belly, pause, and then just come back down. So you're starting to find the shape, circle through the wrists. And give the hands and wrists a shake. So you could work from there, and that already took effort. I was putting some weight on my hands, using arms, using belly, just starting to get a little more familiar with the shape. If you have fear of falling forward, which is a very real fear that a lot of us have, place some blankets. You can put blankets like as thick as you want and pillows in front of you so that if you are to fall, you're not going to have far to fall, and then it's going to be soft, and that can help take the fear away. Okay, so we're just going to start to move forward in the posture. One more thing I will say is this pose is sometimes taught with the knees hugging to the outsides of the arms, or sometimes you'll see like the knees closer to the elbows. And those variations are not wrong. They're different variations of the pose, but I'm not going to teach those today. I just don't practice those variations, and the way that I am teaching is going to help progress you into the next phase of the posture if you want to go there eventually. So, coming back to your starting point, hand shoulder width or wider, grip mat with the fingertips, press into the heels of the hands and the base of the knuckles. Start to find the abdominal muscles speaking, lift hips, direct knees, to the armpits, bend the elbows to find that, pressing into the backs of the arms. Start to shift the weight forward more this time, get light on the toes, stay there or lift one foot and lower. Looking forward, the fingertips, lift the right foot and lower, and then come back down and pause. So starting to find a little bit more weight on the hands so that we can lift one leg and then the other. And then take a couple of big breaths. And then we're gonna move more into the posture. So we're gonna lift both of the feet. Before we do that, one tip, what I see a lot is, what I have seen a lot, is knees, right, come up, and then you're trying to lift your feet here, but you're not leaning forward enough. You have to lean forward quite a bit to find that counter so that the feet and legs can lift. If you don't lean forward enough, it's gonna feel impossible to lift the feet because it's impossible to lift the feet without falling. So you have to find that counter. You have to gain that confidence in the posture of that lean forward and find that sweet spot where you can lift the feet. So we're gonna take it into full crow pose and lift both of the feet, or you can stay in one of the previous variations, hand, shoulder width, or wider. Gripping the mat, fingertips pressing into the hands, lift hips. Right, you're gonna walk the feet in, bend the elbows, knees finding close to the armpits as they can. I'm gonna start to shift the weight forward, lift one foot, and maybe lift the other. Toes touch. Heels move toward the glutes if you've lifted both of the feet. Pause, hold, breathe. So I'm not looking back, I'm just looking pretty much straight down, and then come out. And then circle. So another thing in this pose is we are kind of using our arms as a shelf, right? So these pants are a little slippery. I noticed it was a little harder. And you'll see, I mean, it's not impossible to do it with a naked, sweaty leg, but it's just gonna ask more strength of the abdominal space. So if you feel yourself slipping a lot and you're trying to kind of find the pose, get some pants that aren't quite as slippery. Or if you have shorts on, pants can help you in that pose. So we're gonna take it, I'm just gonna show the advanced variation of the pose where the arms straighten. So in this variation, you have to lean the weight forward even more than in crow pose. And you really have to use the belly even more. So if you have been counting on not using the abdomen when you move forward, it's not gonna work when you move forward into crane pose with the arms straight. You have to use the belly muscles. You have to find some of that round cat shape, okay? Or you're not going to be able to stay in the posture. So we're going to lean forward more, which also asks for more flexibility in the wrists. So just be gentle there. If you don't have that openness, you can definitely pull something in the wrist, so be careful with that. So we need more flexibility, openness in the wrist, and lots of strength and intention in the abdomen. So I'm just going to show the progression of that into crane pose. So you'd start, I start in crow. You can come right into crane, but I'm going to show it starting from crow pose. So hands reach out, setting up hands. You'll lift the hips. Take the knees to the armpits. You'll start to bend the elbows. Come forward. Lift the toes toward the heels. I'm going to lean forward more and really squeeze into the belly. Pause and breathe. Lift. And then I'll rebend and lower. So move into it kind of slow. As you're leaning forward, you're really thinking like wrapping again the rib cage in, finding some of that cat back as much as you can, trying to take some of the weight off of the wrists and the arms, and really just finding stabilization in the posture. So circle with your wrists, shake, breathe, give them a break. And then we'll just do that one more time. So, coming back. Hands reach shoulder width or wider. Lift hips, the feet in. Bend elbows, knees to armpits. Shift weight forward. lift up into crow, stay here, or squeeze, 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 lift, lean, breathe, bend, and lower back down, and circle and shake. So another thing about these postures is that if you see someone doing crow pose and they've made it look really easy, sure, they're strong, but it's because they've likely practiced it hundreds or thousands of times even. And they've built that muscle memory up where the mind knows, your brain knows, okay, we're going here, this is what the body needs to do to get us there and then to keep us there, right? So warming up the areas of the body that you're going to use in the pose is helping you to build that pattern. And it's just repetition. It's sometimes it feels impossible just because your body and brain haven't made that connection of how to find the shape yet. So just repetition, and then eventually it'll click and it'll feel easier and easier and easier. So those are just a few of my tips on getting into crow pose and crane pose. Let me know how you like the video.